What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another NBA Rundown brought to you courtesy of Run Pure Sports and Run Pure Bets. I'm back with the TNT Print Factory title. The Milwaukee Bucks, your favorite team, haven't looked too good so far. But let's go over last night. What did you think of the game last night first? Let's talk about the Nuggets and how good the Phoenix Suns were.
Yeah, yesterday was definitely a good game. I know if you guys have been listening to this show for a while, listen to me this year. I've been on the Suns all year, and I mean, they've just been very, very impressive. I think Monty Williams is arguably the best coach in the NBA, definitely right up there. I think it's a coaching advantage. And the Suns, they just play very, very good team basketball. Defensive, I mean, they're all in sync on defense. They all know their role. Crowder, Bridges, very good wing defenders. Ayton stays out of foul trouble for the most part. But he picked up a quick two, and it showed Monty Williams had faith to keep him in the game and match Jokic, which is very important. And even when Ayton is out, putting in Saric, that causes problems for Jokic and Denver on defense, how he can stretch the floor. I just think the Suns are in very good rhythm. Chris Paul is back to healthy. He's getting the switch on Michael Porter Jr. every time, and, I mean, he's taking advantage of it. D-Book can score with the best of them. The series is going how I want. The series isn't over. I mean, people are saying Suns might sweep them, blah, blah, blah. Series aren't over until you take a road game, but the Suns made a statement at home, blew them out twice, and I think they just got to take one on the road, which I think they will. The Suns are a very tough team, that's for sure.
Yeah, Tyler, you were telling me in our messages, right, that the Suns were the right side. I was missing a lot. The Suns could defend a lot better, and I wasn't hearing it. But I heard it last night watching that game. What did you think of that game? Is there anything you wanted to add on?
I mean, he touched on everything with the Suns side. But the one thing I will add in, that I don't think this series gets past 5 games. I think I think they get game 3. I think Phoenix steals games 4, and then they end it in game 5. And then I think they march their way into the finals. I think CP3's shoulder's better. These role players are starting to shoot well. They got guys coming off the bench that are shooting well too. Arguably have the best coach left in that Western Conference. So, I mean, you're getting them at almost plus 250. I think it's worth a shot to put them in the finals.
Yeah, and we don't have Mr. Mangone here, our press conference guy. But, I was watching the Portland Trailblazers GM Neil O'Shea's press conference where he claimed that his roster was fine. It was just the coaching that was the reason. After seeing these Nuggets now, this is the team that dispatched you in 6 games. Your roster was fine. I mean, it's just so crazy that guy, I don't know. That was just the nuttiest press conference to me. I don't know why my mind even went there. But this guy's out there saying, I mean, I'm just mad because the Blazers were so bad. They made me think that Campazzo and Rivers could get it done against Phoenix. So
I mean, just looking at those starters last night, they combined for 26 points outside of Jokic. Yeah, so they just put the clamps on those guys, and Jokic can't do it all by himself.
Yeah, and like one final weak defense of my handicap, right, Tyler? We talked right before we went on. Michael Porter Jr. is not himself, so their second best player, not 100%. But still, I mean. They've just been terrible. Tyler, let me get your thoughts on a couple of these other series because I talk to Tyler every day, but the people don't always get to hear from you. And then we will circle back to the games for tonight. So tomorrow night, the Sixers and the Hawks. The Hawks will be catching 1.5 at home. Series is split 1-1. Joel Embiid, for all this talk of a torn meniscus, looks pretty good. What are you expecting from Game 3 and the rest of that series?
That's the hardest series for me to cap for sure. I mean, the status of Embiid was definitely unknown. I thought he was going to be more hurt, or at least shown that he was more hurt than he is. I mean, he's taken over this series and looking like the Embiid that we know. They finally put Matisse Thybulle, having him chase around Trae Young most of the time, which I've been calling for the beginning. I think he's going to win a Defensive Player of the Year, maybe multiple. I think he's one of the best defenders in the league, and that length on Trae definitely is tough. I'm going to take the 76ers in Game 3, -1.5. I do just think they're the better team overall, a little deeper. Seth Curry's playing really well, shooting the ball. Tobias Harris can score. Simmons is the one thing. I mean, I don't think a Simmons-led team can get to an NBA championship, just how he shoots from the three-point line. Free throw line is even worse. You can just hack them. You can't play them until there's 2 minutes left at the end of the game because of the hack-a-shack rule. But I think they are good enough to get by this series. However, I mean, like I said, this is my least confident pick. But at the end of the day, I think the points are just too small. I think Philly is the better team overall, and Embiid's looking very good. And the adjustments Doc made running Thybulle and chasing Trae Young, I think, is going to be enough. But I'm very excited for that, and I'm excited to hear what you guys say about that one too, because that's the toughest one for me to cap.
Yeah, I think it was tough. I had the Hawks win the series, but I did not expect Embiid to look so good, so that kind of threw me off. Not really too upset because I'm better at handicapping NBA basketball games than I am as a doctor. So it really didn't bother me that I got that wrong. Tyler, did you have quick thoughts of that? Of course, we will be talking more about it tomorrow with you, Tyler.
No, I'm pretty much in the same boat as you. I was on Atlanta before because I didn't think we were going to see much of Embiid. And I thought if we did see him play, I thought he would eventually play himself out of the game with the injury.
Yeah.
But he looks completely fine. So, I mean, I don't want to touch the series because Philly could win it. But, I mean, Atlanta still looked good in both them games.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they can still make this a nice, fun series to watch. So, I think it's just fun. We'll just keep watching this one and just wait and see. Target the other ones for bets.
Sounds good. And we already talked about Suns and Nuggets. I forgot we're on the second round, so this will be quick. Let's go into tonight's games. The Brooklyn Nets. They've won the first two games by 48 points, and now they're catching 3.5, plus 142 on the money line. Title, does this make sense to you?
This doesn't make sense to me, and it really stinks. I mean, I was on the Nets beginning when we were talking going down.
I remember last week, yeah.
Yep, and then I jumped off and I went to the Bucks game too. I mean, without Harden, and the Bucks shot 5 for 30 from the 3-point line, similar to game 1 against Miami. It was still relatively close. I mean, it was within 10 most of the game. I just thought it was lining up for the Bucks. And then, I mean, I couldn't have been wrong anymore. This Nets team, Kevin Durant's the big thing, as I thought in the beginning. Nobody can stop him. He is too good. If you play one-on-one ball, he's going to make shots. If you double team him, he finds the open guy. They have shooters, Kyrie, Joe Harris around to make plays. Bruce Brown plays defense. Blake Griffin, that's one thing I definitely did not expect, and I've gotten wrong. Man, I did not expect this to be the Blake Griffin that we got. He's playing Giannis perfect, too. I mean, he's sitting in the lane, walling him off. Giannis can't get to the paint, settling for jumpers. I don't get this line, unfortunately. I mean, I hope I'm wrong, but Brooklyn plus 145 I got yesterday. I just don't see what the Bucks can do and what they're going to change. I don't think Coach Bud's a good coach at all. Brook Lopez should not be playing in this series as much. KD can just sit down there. I mean, Brook isn't getting offensive rebounds as much. KD's getting them. Brook's not helping this team at all. I don't expect that to be an adjustment made. I really do hope I'm wrong. I'm going to the game today, too. Hopefully I can get some good mojo.
Are?
Yeah, I am.
Wonderful. That's really cool. That's cool.
Yeah, it should be going with a couple buddies. It should be a lot of fun. Yeah. I did bet the Nets, but I'm hoping one of the few times in my life, I'm hoping that my bet is
either way.
Yeah, exactly.
You're walk out with a win or some money. Not a bad deal there, Title.
Exactly. It should be a lot of fun. So I just, at the end of the day, I just don't know what adjustments the Bucks are going to make. And Kevin Durant, I mean, and one thing too, with Harden out, it really is showing Kyrie. I mean, Kyrie's I think he feels more important and feels like he has to do more, and the confidence is really showing. I mean, he's playing like the Kyrie we know. So unfortunately, I got to go back to the Nets. I shouldn't have jumped on game 2. I was wrong in that, but I'm going to take plus 145. I took it yesterday. I just think there's too much value there. And at the end of the day, they are the better team. So it sucks to say. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm on the Nets plus 145 today.
Yeah. And Tyler, what we do, right? Handicappers, right? We're handicapping the game, watching the game, strengths and weaknesses of the teams. We're also doing that same sort of evaluations on ourselves, right? What mistakes did I make so far going into this series? Number 1, overrated Chris Middleton. I would say he's one of the most underrated players in the league. Well, everybody seems to be right, and I seem to be wrong, right? Maybe he's rated about correctly. The other one's Drew Holiday, man. I really thought this guy was going to step up. I thought this series was going to be like his stairway to stardom, so to speak, right? We haven't seen it at all. People were saying Game 2 was a must-win. I completely disagreed. And, in fact, if Game 2 had been closer, I would have not even been ready to write off my Bucks ticket. It was just the manner in which they lost that really bothered me. Technically, though, I mean, the series isn't over. They could win 2 here in Milwaukee. They head back to Brooklyn with all the momentum. It's really tough. I mean, talk about imagination, right? It takes a lot of imagination to find it. Take us through how you're approaching this game tonight, Tyler.
I mean, I was on Milwaukee the first 2 games. I think the line's wrong here.
Is it time to jump ship, Tyler?
When we've seen this Milwaukee team go down in these last couple of years, they go down in a heap. They were up 2-0 on Toronto, 4 straight losses.
Yeah.
They get 3-0 by Miami last year. They sneak out that Game 4 win after Giannis gets hurt. So they get gentlemen swept. I honestly think this year it's looking like they're going to get swept.
Yeah, I mean, and wouldn't that be crazy if Boston ends up winning more games against the Nets than
it's just Boston had that guy that could go for 50.
Yep.
Like Giannis could go for 50, but it's going to have to be like he's going to beat you up down low. Like Tatum was shooting threes and keeping the score up with these guys. When you're trading twos for threes, it doesn't work. And the Nets as a team right now are shooting 50, 40, 90. Usually, that's like never been done. As a team.
That's so ridiculous.
There is that. I mean, the Nets, I don't think they can shoot as well as they have been. But the thing is, a lot of their shots, they're open looks.
Like, they're wide open looks. It's just the way the Bucks play defense, too. They're just giving up them threes.
And KD is just...
Their assisted turnover ratio in this series is 52-18. They're not turning over the ball much in this series either.
Yeah.
I mean...
Drew Holiday's the biggest piece for the Bucks. I mean, Middleton, he can't... He's too slow to get a shot. He needs the right defender on him so he can rise over him. He can't blow by someone. He settles for too many contested. Drew Holiday's the guy that really the Bucks need. And another thing in this, Dante DiVincenzo definitely hurts.
Yeah, that was a big loss.
Yeah,
a lot. I mean, two-way player can shoot. I mean, they still would be down 0-2 even with Dante. I'm not saying he makes up for this much, but he really hurts. And I don't think expected it to hurt as much as it has. But at the end of the day, I mean, the Nets have outplayed the Bucks by a lot on both sides of the ball the first two games. Hopefully the Bucks can get it done today. But I mean,
and you talked about Budenholzer too. Like he never adjusts in this situation. Like the Nets are just going to come right in here, do what they did games 1 and 2, and if the shots are falling, they're just going to run away with it. So I think you take the money line at the plus money and just hopefully they take this 3-0 tonight. Cash some tickets.
All right, and so everyone seems to be agreeing with us in the chat, except for our guy, and he's here a lot, so we're always going to give him credit for hanging out. Landa seems to think that the Bucks will be fine.
I hope like so.
That. Josh is saying the Nets' offense is probably better than the Warriors. We'll table that discussion. I'm going to argue the Warriors, but I mean it's really close, right? It's not like that's a crazy thing. And let's talk about one thing that Josh is saying here. The Nets' defense is so much better, and Travis and JSU were preaching to me the regular season doesn't matter, but never before has it been this. I mean, from a bottom 10 defense to a top 10 defense, I mean, talk about flipping the switch. I didn't think it could happen. They're fantastic. Give them credit here. So let's talk real quick maybe about the total. What are we seeing here? I got a 234. So down a couple points. Both games went under so far, if I'm right. Am I right about that? Yep. So we got 2 unders so far. And then Tyler, I'll start with you on the total. Give me a prop, and then I'm going to ask Tyler maybe where we might be able to find some value and who we should spend up for.
I mean, probably just got to target Kevin Durant's threes with the way he's been shooting the ball, or even Joe Harris. Mm-hmm. I mean, this defense just gives up a ton of three-point looks. These guys are just going to be flinging them all night. And those three-pointer props, you're getting plus money on both of them. So I love both of those.
All right. Title, what did you think of the total? And, 2-game slate. This game's got a higher total. I mean, are we loading up with this game? I made the mistake of doing that on Tuesday night, and then when the game was a blowout, my lineup fizzled.
Yeah, it's going to be the popular route again to go. It's just a way higher over-under, and then you look at it. Mike James is only 3.8K on DraftKings. Blake Griffin's 4.8K. Bruce Brown 4.2. Drew 7.6. If you just look at all the pricing compared to the other game, it's definitely going to be the popular route to go. I mean, if you predict a blowout and you think that's going to happen again, it's really hard to predict blowouts, especially with the Bucks. I mean, it's
especially at home, and we got to expect they're going to get some friendly whistles tonight, right? Like Giannis is. We'll see how many he makes, but he should be at the line the whole night, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, home court definitely. I mean, they play well. They play so much better at home. It definitely can't hurt. You hope the whistles. I'm definitely not expecting a blowout. I'd be surprised and very disappointed if it was one. But yeah, I mean, this is definitely going to be the game to load up in DFS. Mike James, Blake Griffin, Bruce Brown, probably one of the 3 most popular plays on the slate. Giannis
4,800 for Blake. I mean, is he in every lineup?
He's going to be probably the most chalky option. I mean, especially with how he's playing. It's hard not to.
Yeah.
As far as this total, I don't have too strong of a lean on it. I actually, if I'm taking any props today, it would be the Drew Holiday over props. I see 32.5 points, rebounds, and assists at plus money. Then I see 19.5 points at plus 100. They need Drew Holiday to score in this series. They need him to be the playmaker, especially with how Middleton's playing, how they're defending Giannis in the paint. I think Drew gets going today and scores over 20. I think he has a big game. So I'd take his over props, and they're plus money. So that'd be my lean. As far as the over-under, I'd probably lean over. You think the Bucks can shoot better and will shoot better at home than they have the past. The Nets are going to score. I mean, it's going to be an up-and-down game. So I lean the over, but I like the Drew Holiday props a little more if I had to go and pick a prop / over-under.
And I think this comment by Josh Gillum really puts the predicament that Budenholzer and the Bucks are in. He says they should start Giannis at center. They need perimeter defense. They should start Pat Connaughton. If Pat Connaughton's the answer, I don't think that you're going to get the question right. I mean, It's just.
I will say though,
he's
at the
not
end of the
bad, right? But I mean,
I will say at the end of it, I mean, I think that would be a sharp. I mean, you have to try something new. Giannis at the 5 at least gives a different look for the defense. I mean, Brook Lopez definitely isn't the answer. Pat can kind of play too. I mean, he can shoot the ball a little bit. It's not very exciting, but I think you got to mix something up. If you want to play Brook, maybe try him off the bench against Claxton. See if that does something. I don't know.
Claxton's a great, huh?
And that's what I've been saying, and that's why I thought getting Blake Griffin was actually going to hurt the team a little more because I thought
Claxton when they got Aldridge, but then when Aldridge left, and hopefully he's okay, right?
Claxton's
open the floor up for him, and I think it's better.
Claxton's a beast. I mean, he can guard 1 through 5 too. He's even better with Harden in that pick and roll, which we haven't seen yet. But I think he's a very big team. I mean, I think the Nets are winning it all. I think they're going to be very tough to beat, and Claxton's definitely a big role on that team too. But hopefully the Bucks, hopefully Landa, you are right. I would love the Bucks to win and make this a series because it's been very disappointing from what we all thought.
Yeah, I mean, and how bad is it for the NBA storyline-wise, right? You have this guy, Giannis, this superstar, homegrown, does the right thing, stays at home, goes away from this player empowerment trend, right? And he's just going to get smacked in the mouth by the 3 guys who went to New York and said, we got all the money, buddy.
Yeah.
So, a little bit of storyline potential there as well. Boy, this game's so tough. I mean, it's like I want to stick to my guns, but there's nothing I've seen that says, hey, my pregame breakdown was correct, right? And maybe, I could say, well, DiVincenzo this, DiVincenzo that, but I don't really know, if that would have made a difference. Let's go on to another game that, let's see. Travis actually got this right on Tuesday here. And so we had talked about jumping on the Clippers as a series price right now because our idea is we thought that the Jazz could win game 1 but lose the series with the Clippers coming off the tough 7-round series against the Mavericks where they were pushed to the brink of exhaustion trying to keep up with Luka. So now they lost by, 3 points there because they pushed, if you took the points, it depending on what time you took them yesterday. Let's talk about that game title. I don't know where to go there as well. Watching the game, I thought, hey, the Clippers win the next game. They just make a couple adjustments and they win this. I know Tyler had some good reasons why I could be wrong there. What did you think of it?
Yeah, I thought I think the Utah is just a better overall team from top to bottom. I know with Paul. I mean, Paul George isn't going to play as bad as he did game 1 for sure. I mean, he can't.
For as bad as he played, didn't he get like 20 and 10?
Something like that, maybe. I don't know. But from watching and how he shot the ball, he was just, even when he at the end of the game when he got fouled and he had like a clear floater that it wasn't, he just hit the backboard, missed the rim and he just looked off. He had Gobert on switches. He makes a good move, step back mid range, and he just didn't really come close. He can't shoot that bad again though, but I just think this Utah, I just saw it move from -3 to -3.5 on DraftKings Sportsbook too. I just think they're the better team top to bottom, man. Donovan Mitchell is one of the most underrated players. He's finally getting some love now, but I think he's just such a problem for this Clippers team. They get him in pick and rolls. Luke Kennard can't play the whole fourth quarter. He's just going to get exposed on defense the whole time. The bet I made on this game yesterday was over 221. I see it's up at 222.5. I still do think I lean the over, though. Both these teams, Utah shot the ball awful in the first quarter. What did they went like they missed 14 shots in a row or something, but this team loves to shoot the three ball. They get open looks. And I think they fall with Ingles, Bogdanovich, Clarkson. I think they shoot the ball better. And as far as the Clippers, I mean, with Kawhi, Paul George, Zubac played very, very well in this series. I think both these teams can score the ball, and I think this number's too low. So that's my favorite bet in the game. I do lean Utah. If I do have to pick a side, I think it's going to be Utah-Phoenix, and I think they are the two best teams. But I do like the over rather than the 3.5 because it is a close game. I mean, Kawhi can take over a game at any time, but I lean Utah, and then I like the over. The number moved up a little bit, but I still would take the over 222.5.
All right, Tyler, we'll do a quick recreation of our direct messages. So I say to you, Tyler, Donovan Mitchell scores 50 and they only win by 3. I think the Clippers come back and win this next game. What was your response?
I'll say, here's my argument. I said this was the typical spot where you had the team that just came off a 7-game series, played, 2 days before the series started?
Exactly.
Pretty much still had their legs under them, looked like the better team in the first half. Mm-hmm. But you look back at those games 6 and 7, they played them guys heavy minutes versus Dallas.
Yeah.
That fatigue set in. Utah was off for almost a week after thumping Memphis. Mm-hmm. They had to knock some rust off in that first half, get their legs under them, and then they woke up in the second half. Mm-hmm. It's going to sound like a hot take. It's a lot easier for the Clippers to adjust to a guy like Luka than Rudy Gobert because just the way their team's built. They have a bunch of wings that can defend. Mm-hmm. They can go small versus him. Mm-hmm. Unless you're dragging Rudy out to the 3 line and getting him in foul trouble, he's just going to stand down there and wreak havoc against his team.
Yeah.
And, I mean, he showed it on the last play of the game. He went out to the outside. He blocked that 3 to save the game.
I mean, was that fantastic or what, right?
After he jumped on the pump fake.
And after he received the Defensive Player of the Year earlier in the broadcast. I mean,
Morris had to
right?
jump into him. Morris had to jump. I mean, those 3 free. I mean, he left his feet. He had to jump into him. Obviously, it's easier said than done when you're watching and not in the moment. But
let's take a look back at that Clippers Maverick series. Mm-hmm. That series was literally live by the 3, die by the 3 on both sides. Now you're going to try and do that with the best 3-point shooting team in the entire league. Good luck.
Yeah.
Give me Utah here.
All right, so you make some great points there. So you guys both like Utah. I'm still stubbornly feeling like I don't know why I want these dogs so bad. I don't know if it's just unbelievable.
I agree with his over taking the over in this game.
Yeah.
I mean, they combined for 221 last game, and we've seen how bad Utah shot. Mm-hmm. And the other thing that's not going to happen in this game is the Clippers only took 6 field goals in the entire third quarter. Mm-hmm. That won't happen again. So I love the over in this game.
All right, Tyler, we talked about the last game we were probably going to get more value there. But as I learned when I tried to stack it, this has never happened to me because I was always using players. You can't just have every person on one game. I didn't realize that. I said that to Travis and Hoop, and I said, I didn't know that I had to have players from both games. So we do have to have players from both games. When we're adding our players from this game, who do you like? I see Kawhi at 96, Paul George at 85, Reggie Jackson 54, Donovan's 8,900. I'm going off DraftKings too. Gobert 7,700 and Bogdanovich kind of impressive at 5,900. What did you think of this one? And who is the value? Who would you spend up for?
Yeah, so you have to play a guy in 3 teams. That's how it goes. So if there's in the regular season, regardless, you have to have at least 3 teams in your roster. But it's going to be big if we get this Mike Conley news or not before lock. I know we got it last time, and that made Joe Ingles very popular, Jordan Clarkson very popular, Donovan Mitchell very popular. If you don't get that news, do you guys have a strong lean on whether or not you think he'll play? Just if we don't get the news.
I mean,
I don't think he's playing today.
Yeah, I mean, he's questionable right now, and there's nothing for me to go off, right? Like, we don't have video of him warming up, right? I mean, you asked me in a couple hours, maybe we'll get some because they will do an afternoon shoot around, right?
Yeah, I mean, they should.
We should have some kind of news here in like the next hour or so.
Yeah.
Because that's when we got the news for Will Barton yesterday. But, I mean, I don't think he plays. I don't think you'll see him until next series.
That changes the whole slate, whether he does or not. Because if he doesn't, then Donovan Mitchell at 8.9K he'd be a very, very strong play. Jordan Clarkson, Joe Ingles is 4.7K. Clarkson at 6.3K might be a little too steep. He definitely got a big price bump, but
that's steep because we don't get the other things from him, right? It's points or bust.
Yeah, no peripheral stats, which definitely hurts. The Clippers right now, Paul George at 8.5. I expect him to definitely get some ownership. Kawhi 9.6. I think people are going to either go KD or Giannis, so I think he gets a little overlooked. The most popular in this game will be Marcus Morris, I think, at 4.5K. He just plays a lot of minutes. He can shoot, rebound, so I think he gets the more amount of minutes. As far as the Clippers with Ty Lue, he played, did he play 11 guys? He played Boogie Cousins early, he played Patrick Beverly. And I thought I saw a quote saying that Cousins and Beverly earned a role in this series. So that does limit some of these Clippers secondary pieces a little bit. I don't know how much Boogie can play. I mean, he came in and gave him a great boost, but he can't play it in the fourth quarter or something. Otherwise, he's just going to get picked on in the pick and roll, but he's going to have some type of role, it looks like. And shout out to, I see Parabee. And
I was going to throw it on the thing. But you already got to it. And I love the avatar too, Parabee.
Yeah. He actually came in Discord last time. He said something about, don't be surprised if Cousins starts or something. And I said he has a better chance being in street clothes than starting. However, I'm going to give him the W. He didn't start, but
he got big minutes.
Yeah. I mean, he came in and he produced. I mean, he's a good fantasy point per minute producer when he comes in. He came in and
being sorry on defense doesn't matter in DFS, right?
Exactly. I mean, he picked up 3 fouls in 7 minutes or something, but that doesn't matter. But shout out to him. Yeah. I mean, if he gets the minute, it's more of a showdown play than a 2-gamer. But I mean, that was a very good call by him. And now he's going to play the minutes.
And I would say the thing with Cousins, right, is we know that he's such a liability on the perimeter, right? But he's actually fine in the post. Yeah. I'd even say he's above average. So when you have a player like Gobert that's going to stay down low, that gives you these Zubac minutes, that gives you these Cousins minutes that weren't there in the last series. So it's just this is where coaching and roster construction matters so much, right? Because a guy like Zubac, Lou had to be on him and just let him, hey, this isn't your series. I need you to stay tight because we need you to get to the chip.
Same thing with DeMarcus. He ain't playing tonight.
Conley's out for
sure.
Yeah. Just got the news.
3 minutes early. Thanks, NBA. Usually we don't get it till 10:30. All right. So with knowing that Conley's out, Title, one more time, go ahead and give me some guys of who we're going to look for here. I like Bojan Bogdanovic at 5,900 here. Is that a little too high for him? I'm definitely playing Joe Ingles though, because I think I'm going to get the assist from him.
Yeah, no, Joe Ingles 4.7 is definitely going to be a very strong play. I like Bojan at 5.9. I think he's a guy that people just don't love to go roster. They roster
because the ceiling's pretty low, right? I'm going to get between, what would you say, 25 and 38 points from him.
Yeah, but if you get 38 on a 2-game slate at 5.9, I mean, that's a fire emoji and you're loving it. So he does have some of the upside that you do want. I don't think the ownership will be a ton. So I do like that play. I mean, he can make open threes. He rebounds the ball a little bit. I like that play. I think it's a good tournament play. D. Mitch at 8.9K is definitely going to get some good run. He'll play all the minutes he can handle. I don't think the Clippers have an answer for him in the series, and he's just such a smart player. If they do double him, he finds the open guy for assists. Clarkson's the one. I mean, it's 6'3". I think he was 4'9" or something last game. He got the price bump he does deserve, so he's the one I probably will leave out with the peripheral stats. Royce O'Neal 5.1K too. Feels a little expensive, but I mean, he's been playing very good in the playoffs. He's a guy that does get peripheral stats, makes the open three. So I like the mid-tier options. And Gobert is an interesting one at 7.7. I'm not sure I'm going to get there. I think I do want one at KD, Giannis, and then D. Mitch to start my lineups. But 7.7, you could do worse, but it's Ingles is going to be the best one, D. Mitch, and then Bojan. I think that's a good call in tournaments.
All right, so let me tell you, let's go through this scenario, right? I make my lineup out. I'm at utility. I've got enough for either Kawhi, Giannis, or KD. In your expert opinion, who should I fill out with that final spot out of those three?
Yeah, I'm going to say Giannis. Okay. It's between Giannis and KD for sure. The prices are different too, but if the game's going to stay close, they really are going to need Giannis. You feel really good about getting the double-double. He's going to get the rebounds. He's going to get over 10 points. And this is the game they're going to need him most at home too. I think he does get more of a friendly whistle than he has. He is more aggressive. I just like what Giannis does all around, the blocks, the steals, the more peripheral stats. So I'm going to lean Giannis. I wouldn't say KD's a bad decision though. He scores the ball. I mean, he could easily have 40 real ones, whereas Giannis, I don't see him doing that this series. But the peripheral stats, I'm going to side with Giannis.
Yeah, I would too. My worry about KD, right, is that we see some hashtag sports entertainment and he picks up 2 quite early, right, to give the Bucks a little bit more of an edge, right? I mean, would that be that wild here from what we've seen from these referees so far? Like I said, I mean, Brooklyn obviously will be nice for the for the NBA to have in the finals. But let's be honest, they don't have that big a fan base. I was joking around with Tyler. I said, after we lost game 1, or I lost, giving out my pick, I went to go look at the Nets subreddit to find some funny memes to put up to make fun of myself for giving out a losing pick, right? The subreddit was dead. I mean, it's like there's more people like in like the Charlotte Hornets subreddit. It was just unbelievable. So, yeah. Tyler, what did you have for props on this game?
I mean, with Conley being announced out, you talked about Ingles getting the assists. I'm actually going to target Mitchell. Yep.
Yeah, we did that all year, right? Last year.
It's 6.5. Last game he scored 45 points. He took 30 shots and he got 5 assists. You got to think it's get the ball out of his hands and make somebody else beat us tonight. He should be able to rack up way more than 5 assists tonight with them guys kicking it to them to shoot threes. If them guys' shots are falling, I mean, he could have double-digit assists at halftime. So, I mean,
and Tyler, right? We talk about coaching adjustments, right? I mean, doesn't Ty Lue have the easiest coaching adjustment we have? Take Kawhi Leonard off Royce O'Neal and put him on Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, I mean,
do we see it tonight, or does he wait till Game 5 like he did against Dallas?
That's what you have to move him there, and then you also have to, when they run that pick and roll, do the same thing you were doing to Luka. Just double him out of the pick and roll, make him move the ball.
Yeah.
But another prop I like is O'Neal over 7.5 rebounds because
interesting.
He grabbed 10 last game. If they're going to win this game, they have to drag Rudy out of the paint, which means somebody else has got to grab these rebounds for Utah. And he's likely that guy that's going to be under the hoop. I mean, even if Rudy gets into foul trouble, then there's more free ones for Royce O'Neal. And I mean, I think he's grabbed 8 in the 3 out of the 4 games he's played against the Clippers this year.
Yeah, that number 6.5 on DK Sportsbook, and Mitchell's 5.5 for assists too. So a little better number there.
And one thing that I wish we could bet on, Tyler, would be 0.5 apologies for Shaquille O'Neal to Donovan Mitchell after that ridiculous, unprofessional post-game interview that I still haven't got over in January, where Donovan Mitchell drops like 36 and 14, and he goes, "Well, I still don't think you're any good." I mean, that was just. I'm like, this is unbelievable. NFL, right? A second-string tight end gets a 13-yard catch, right? And we get a litany thing of how great he was in high school and how he, goes to a homeless shelter on the weekends to help kids out, right? And then this guy drops 36 and 14, and we're running him down. But I always got to go into my thing on NBA media because I don't think they promote their game properly. They have the opportunity now, though, without LeBron casting the shadow. All right, title. It looks like we have wrapped up all the games. Let's just use today for tonight because I think that we definitely have enough options. But you know what? Since you're a guest, I'll give you free reign for tomorrow's too. Tyler and I will pick off tonight's board, though. Give me your best bet, side total or prop for the next 2 days.
Yeah, I'll go tonight. I'm going to go over 222.5 for the Clippers Jazz game. I think this number is too low. I think these two teams are going to – I mean, they both can score and put the ball in the hoop. I think – Utah shoots the ball better, and Kawhi keeps it close. So I think that number is too low. And I do like the Nets plus 145, but I can't give that out as my best bet. Atlanta talks me out of it a little bit, saying that the Bucks are going to push it to 7. So
I'm just worried about the referees in that one. Like I can see Durant getting too early. Middleton getting 7 free throws in the first half.
They've been pretty bad. I mean, reffing has to be one of the hardest things to do. I mean,
it's the hardest thing in the world. That's why I hate complaining about it because I would never do it. Like they asked me to umpire the Little League game. I'm like, I'm not going to do that. No,
I used to hockey ref and ump, and you get little, like you're reffing 10-year-olds, and you get parents screaming at you and all the and coaches, and it's like, I mean, NBA, reffing
and the game's so
thing.
Fast, exactly. So it's like I don't like to criticize them, but we do know from history and Donahue and scandals and affidavits and grand juries that these things do happen. Tyler, what's your best bet for tonight?
Screw the refs. Budenholzer isn't adjusting tonight. The Nets are going up 3-0. Give me that plus 145.
This is the most anti-Bud I've ever seen since Tyler. Tyler rolls one up in the morning, but then goes against Bud in the evening. Unbelievable. All right, let's see. I'll join you, Tyler. I'll join you. We're jumping ship off the Nets. I'll go ahead and take the Brooklyn Nets here. I mean, we're jumping ship off the Bucks. It's too bad, man. I love this team. I love the story. I love the idea of Giannis, not trying to form up, trying to be his own man. Like, I heard he won't even practice with these guys in the offseason because he doesn't want them learning his moves and getting better off them, It's like I love everything about him, but the jump shot's just not there. The supporting cast just isn't there. I mean, maybe, 5 first-rounders or whatever for Drew Holiday might have been a little bit of an overpay here. But he will be able to prove us wrong tonight. And if he does, let's go ahead and give him credit because that will be a lot of fun. So, Title, thank you for hanging out today. And before you go enjoy the game tonight, why don't you let them know the content you got coming up over at Run Pure Sports, because I think there's an MMA show on Saturday.
Yeah, there is a big MMA card, 2 title fights, 3 5-round main events. It's going to be a lot of fun for sure. We have a show at 11 a.m. Eastern. Joey Work isn't able to make it. JSU asked Keg. I'm not sure if he's got back to him or not, but hopefully Keg's on the show with DC and I. We'll break it all down. It'll be a lot of fun, but we got NBA, MLB. We got some early slate going on right now that we have content up. We had content up for. NASCAR, people have been killing, or Coop and Maddie have been killing it. Mm-hmm. And then, there's tennis, League of Legends, big Euro soccer coming up. I haven't played any DFS soccer, but Rubio, Dimes, and Jamie are over the Run Pure Sports playbook articles up. So make sure to check that out. I see big prize pools up there. Going to dabble in that a little bit, but tons of content at Run Pure Sports. Make sure to check it out. And hopefully, I know we're all jumping ship. I'm still going to be cheering for the Bucks tonight. I hope they can get it done, but plus 145. I'm agree with you. I already made the bet with you guys, so it'll be fun sweating the games for sure.
The number's just wrong.
How
are they minus 3.5? But Atlanta, who split in Philadelphia, is catching a 1.5.
It's minus 4.
Sense to me.
It's minus 4 now too, and that's the thing that I said. That number, like home court advantage, that's not that big of a number. How do you watch the first 2 games and say the Bucks should be a minus 200 favorite or whatever? I agree with you guys. The value side has to be Brooklyn, but I'm going to be cheering against my money for one of the few times.
Hey, I think you should, man. Have a great time. And when you rock like you do, you can afford to take a loss tonight, you know what I'm saying? Because you can just get it all back on Saturday when you're filling out those lineups. So, Tyler, did you have any other messages for everybody before we sign off and get ready to come back tomorrow?
I just want to touch on one other thing.
Yes.
We say Paul George can't play any worse than he did tonight, but let's not forget this is where the playoff P name originated in Utah.
Was against Joe Ingles, right?
It was Joe Ingles in Utah that started all this. They're chirping him, and they're probably all in his head. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes out there and shits the bed again tonight.
Unbelievable. You really think so, huh?
I hope not. I like Paul George, but I like him too. But
right. I just think he rubs me as one of them guys where he walked back in that arena tonight and it all just came back in, and he was like, "Shit."
It's a tough place to play.
Yep. They start yelling at him. He's like, "I can't deal with this."
Yeah.
Oh man, we will see. We will see for sure. Well, Title will be at the Bucks game in the arena tonight. I will be on this channel, this YouTube channel, the Run Pure Bets channel, with the Sports Keg himself. We'll be hanging out, watching the games. As you guys heard, right? I don't have like the strongest takes going into it, but we'll be definitely hanging out. And if stuff develops, we're seeing stuff, stuff that we're not sure about. Like, for example, on this Milwaukee game, Title, wouldn't you think that we're going to have a pretty good idea about 3 or 4 minutes in the game, right? I mean, they're either going to come out and start out like 12-4 or it's over, right?
And a big thing like last game, PJ Tucker, he can't get in early foul trouble, 2 quick ones, because then Giannis gets on him. KD has a field day with him. I mean, need PJ Tucker is definitely their best bet. That has to check KD as much as he can. So we'll definitely know early if the Bucks are getting good looks, how they're running their offense, what adjustments they have made. So I definitely agree with you. And like I said, I really do think this is a Drew Holiday game. In DFS, I always have an SO play of the day in DFS, my favorite play. Yeah. Drew Holiday, I think he really turns around. They're going to need him bad to win this game. I think he does show up.
All right. I like it. All right. Hey, Tyler, are you going to be around tonight? You going to be hanging out? You want to talk some NBA in the evening?
Yeah, I'll probably go to my buddy's house to watch the Brooklyn game because I already had that plan, but I'll be back on for the late game.
So you can catch me and Tyler tonight on this channel. If you're not able to make that, we'll be back tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern with AP and Tyler, and we'll be talking about tomorrow night's games. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and run pure.